we have my favorite one. If you'd have a time machine, what would you do with it?
Ooh.
Time machine question.
I'd have a proper Doctor Who one. That's big TARDIS. I'd bounce all over the place. Where would I go? I probably would go about 2,000 years back to begin with. See the whole kind of biblical timeline. And then I'd probably bounce back. There's two other eras I'd really like to go to. The Regency era, because that's where I read a whole load of trashy novels about. And see what that was really like. Although most of the novels were about the upper classes, so I suspect the life of the lower classes was probably hideous. And then I'd probably bounce onto the Second World War to see what it was like, because I think it's really funny. I talk about myth quite a lot, and the idea that people, and when we talk about the Second World War, people were like, oh, people were so much friendlier, we had a cup of tea, we all pulled together, all this kind of stuff. And you're like, I wonder if it was really like that, or if that's just, I think that's just become a popular narrative that we remember. And so it'd be interesting to go back and see how much of that was kind of real.
Yeah.
I think that would be really interesting. And it's interesting, and now we're in a recession, seeing, in many ways, we're having as much struggle as all those pictures from the 30s. But a lot of the time you can actually forget about it. Whereas the impression you get from history is that it was the top thing in everyone's heads. Yeah. But I doubt whether you can think about the war for 6 years at a conscious level without going slightly mad. So I think you just kind of get on with it.
Do you think it's maybe something we historians and maybe popular culture are taking too far, the fact of the war? Because we're thinking about this, and actually the First World War has been pretty much 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems to be the kind of thing that you should have take over it, and but people keep on remembering and so on. What do you think about this?
Well, I guess because we've still got Remembrance Day, and that came out of the First World War, and up until a couple of years ago there was still people alive for that, but we've had the last few veterans die from the war. Not that that excludes obviously anyone on the home front, but they're not memorialised in the same way. And I think that does become a big question, because I'm wondering what they used to do about the Boer War and stuff like that, because we don't memorialise that anymore. But the last couple of years I think we've started to notice a move, particularly on Remembrance Day, to talking about Iraq and Afghanistan, and a lot more people wearing white poppies for kind of peace. So I think the meaning of the day is changing. The Second World War I suspect is going to keep going for a while, because I mean that's what 20 years later, so I think, and only in the last 10 years or so have we had women from the Land Army and things like that being able to partake in the event. So a lot of it is about who do they think we're commemorating. A lot of it is to do with the idea of what does it mean to be British. So what do we remember? Are we trying to justify all those wars we went through? Are we trying to remember it so we don't do it again? Or are we trying to justify why all those young men went off to war? And a lot of that we kind of internalise, so we automatically think that the war against Hitler was good, because otherwise we would have been taken over. I still remember there was an advert when cigarettes were still allowed to advertise. Can't remember what was the gold packet. I want to say Brian and May, but that's matches. But they did an advert that was kind of what if, and they showed Buckingham Palace draped in swastikas. We're kind of saying, you know, if we hadn't done that. So I'm fascinated by symbolism and the idea that we still think these things need to be memorised. But they're having the same debates about Auschwitz and saying, you know, when the last survivor dies off, do we keep Auschwitz open? Should it be a tourist attraction, or should it be left to kind of be a gravesite? And there's probably no right answer for any of those things. It's kind of, I guess you go with popular opinion, and if people stay away from Remembrance Sunday or subvert it or stay away from Auschwitz, then you start to think, okay, the time's up for stopping this.
Any last thoughts, ideas, any criticism or message you would like to send?
Oh, no, I think we've discussed quite a lot in there. It's really really interesting set of questions. So, and it's a really good. I'm really glad I'm still able to do stuff with Hstry, and able to talk to you guys. I'm really encouraged to see what you're doing with the website. So people write for the website, come and talk to these guys, tell them why we should be doing Hstry at a time when there's so many funding cuts. You know, there's real reasons for doing Hstry. It gives you so many skills, but it's interesting as well. It's not just about making money. Life is not just about making money. We've got to live, but so yeah. So do you want me to sign off? Go on, Bex Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.